Temporary manager of NVGEBE, Iris Arundel, speaking to reporters about the outstanding bills. St. Martin, the cemetery capacity, development planning, and related infrastructure policy. Court sentences violent jewelry store robbers to up to 6 years imprisonment. 3 arrested following firearms discovery at Oyster Pond Hotel. From the island, St. Martin, this is SXM Daily News for June 22nd, 2026. Temporary manager of NVGEBE, Iris Arundel, speaking to reporters about the outstanding and where we are today. Why didn't you take other measures? If there are other measures to be able to get their customers to pay, you're talking about dead people still having properties in their name. Doesn't NVGEBE have any policy or anything like that if a person is dead, then they will maybe remove the meter or something until the owners of the building decide to update their information so that you can get the actual science who would be using the electricity to pay? The situation is that when someone becomes a customer of NVGEBE, Arundel explains to the media in a press conference at NVGEBE headquarters on June 19th, 2026.
The situation is that when someone becomes a new customer of GB, you have to bring a deed. And because of that deed situation, if the parent died, then all the children come into play. And it's a lot of friction sometimes between families. And for that reason, we wouldn't know that sometimes the mom is dead or the father is dead. We don't know that information. How we get to know that, so if Bibi Shah come today and say, I want to change this account on my name, and then she say, well, my mom died, then I'll say, well, we need to know who are all families. And if the other families don't give permission, we cannot only put it to Bibi Shah alone. So persons know that, so they even don't come and say mom died, they just leave it on mom's name. But in the meantime, Bibi Shah is living in an apartment. So we really don't know. Unless someone come in, we will not know if the person is alive or dead.
The reporter, I have a question for you to investigate. The understanding from the office was that NVGEBE was not cooperative in terms of giving them access to the computer network, the system they could investigate.
Well, okay, I was not in that type of seat when that happened, so I really don't know. I guess I understand the prosecutor said that, but I really don't know. I really don't have that kind of information, and I think afterward they closed, the investigation was closed, right? So I don't think, right now there is nothing on that, but I really don't know.
So just for clarity, would GB now, if the prosecutors wanted access to the computer network system, perhaps it's too late, but you never know, would GB give access to the prosecutor's office now?
Well, if it's something they can find, yes, we don't have nothing to hide.
Okay.
I guess that's one of the reasons we wanted to come clean today and show everything, because we have nothing to hide.
58.6%, which is a very large percentage, and 60,021 persons paid the bill. So my question is, the 16,000 that you're talking about, 526 people from our customer base are 23,000, and we have 9,526 delinquent, and you mentioned that this continues. So my question is, how long of a period in this situation continues with NVGEBE in the red? And this also ties into the whole action that's happening right now, where NVGEBE is being demanded to pause this connection and also resume the connection. And you mentioned, since the whole process started in the last 2 weeks, it stopped. And you give me an indication as to how long this will continue before NVGEBE is totally in the red and can't do this anymore. And given the situation with NVGEBE,
if we stay just 2 weeks for a cooling off period and we notice that no funds coming in, we cannot do without this coming. What we are doing, because it was also a request from government and everything, that not only in the newspapers, but try to reach persons individually. So we are basically trying to send, that's what we're asking for emails. So everyone who have an email, we'll be sending them like dunning notices or reminders. And the next step we're going to do, we're also going to be Just like how we go to the meet and read, we'll have to leave the dunning notices there for the customers to get them also so they can be aware. And once we do that, we will resume disconnections, but we have to resume, we just cannot stop.
So that demand in the petition cannot be met realistically, is that what you're saying?
That can be met. It's an impossibility. I mean, if we see the figures, it's just an impossibility.
Okay,
And then to go reconnect everybody who's disconnected, we will have to go back and look, because you're not paying attention. Oh, I disconnected the mouse, I have to go back and check it. No. The way our process works, when you disconnect, if you pay and we put it back on a reconnection order comes out, and then based on that, we know you get reconnected. Yes.
So if I understand you clearly what you're saying, with the 2 weeks that has passed that you have not been disconnecting and reconnecting, if that continues another week, that's it for GB, is that what you're saying?
It's not that that's it for GB right away, because GB have a certain cash flow that we have that we can, but we don't want to be taken from our cash flow. Our cash flow have to continue to grow. Whatever you make, you cannot spend more than you earn. So we need to collect what we earn. We really need to collect what we earn. And not 58.6%, we need to collect nearly 100%. But we need to do investments, we need other things that we have to do, a lot of important things that GB has to do.
Now just one more question on this. Just one more question on this same point.
Mm-hmm.
The 9,526 delinquents.
Mm-hmm.
Are these persons dating back to the hack, or is it just sporadic people just?
This 9,526 is from the hack up to 2025, not even 2026 include, up to 2025, because that's the period we really trying to get, because that's the biggest outstanding from really trying to get that in. So
not
that's the
paying at
focus.
all.
Some not pay at all, and some paying million things.
Quite a few issues related to NVGBE actually will fall under your ministry. In other words, the base rates that NVGBE charges are actually set by your ministry, and that base rate has not been updated, I think, for a long time. So there's research that needs to go into that. The ministry is also in charge of the fuel clause, as well as the net metering policy. So there are several things that fall under your ministry. That will take a substantial amount of time. Can you perhaps explain to the public what state those are in and how much work it is to actually bring those up to modern times? Question by the reporter at the press briefing on Wednesday.
As you know, the Minister of Environment and myself has signed a decree to hire the BTP as a supervisor, as a representative for us to go and have a discussion with GEBE to provide us with information in order for us, or for me especially then, to review exactly those rates that you mentioned. The BTP has already had its preliminary meeting with GEBE about a week or maybe 10 days ago. The next steps now are for them to gather the information that we request. And then, of course, it'll take us some time internally to review. I mentioned it earlier a couple of weeks ago that yes, I am responsible for these rates, but I cannot go in blindly and just create a rate. I need to understand their price makeup. I need to understand what financial consequences or commitments GB has before we even talk about making a change. So it seems positive. We are looking up further. I see the 1 minute thing. So we're looking forward to receiving the information, and then once we are able to get a full analysis of the rates, we'll be able to then inform the public accordingly.
Can you give us just a ballpark in terms of how much time that whole process will take, just so that consumers' expectations are aligned?
We would need a few months, because once we receive the information, it'll take some professionals a few months to really review the component of the rate. A couple of months.
The reporter is asking the Prime Minister because we're more than halfway through the year. You're still operating on the 2025 budget, which was 574,000 builders. So I'm trying to understand how this is going to work if the budget gets approved. All of a sudden, you have this increased budget, which was supposed to be spent over the year, but now you have to spend it over the 2 remaining months of 2026. And so, How will it work in terms of your increased budget? What will the impact be? Does that mean that the total budget will be spent, and the increase will be spent in the last few months of the year? And is the increased revenue that's been projected for the budget actually happening because is it true?
I hope it's true. What we are stating in the budgets of a country, this is a serious law on which we base our governing of the country. The budget 2020 is not going to Parliament. It is now by Parliament, so that is just for clarity's sake. And secondly, we are going to try to handle the budget as soon as possible. The moment we get the call from Parliament, we are going to actually present in Parliament to actually present the budget to Parliament for their approval. And at the end of the day, it's going to end up in a public meeting, and you know how that goes. And then from there, once it's approved, we're going to apply it. For the continuity of governance, this budget that is delayed did not have an impact, because most of the time, if you follow the pattern of budgets, it's actually in a form that the routine items are being budgeted in a form, calculated in a form that they service the daily necessity of the functioning of the country. That there is, of course, an increase in the budget compared to 2025. That is true. Actually, what is going to happen then with a acceleration speed, then those extras are going to be actually approved. So new investments that actually everybody were working already on, that are on hold just for the financial approval. Everybody are already in the start blocks, ready to the moment that it passed. They just finalize the documents because there is financial backing, and we will proceed immediately with the use of those, especially those investments or projects that we were planning to execute, that are already ready in the start blocks. It's a matter of approving the finance, give green light, and we can move on with the country.
Sint Maarten, June 22nd, 2026. The Court of First Instance has sentenced SAKG to 6 years imprisonment and SGM to 4 years imprisonment for their roles in violent jewelry store robberies. Both men were convicted on June 18th, 2026 as accomplices in the October 25th, 2025 robbery of Oro Diamante, while G was also convicted for the December 6th, 2025 robbery of Island Treasures Jewelers. The convictions stem from 2 separate investigations into armed robberies targeting jewelry stores on Sint Maarten. In the Oro Diamante case, the perpetrators targeted the Front Street business and made off with a substantial quantity of jewelry. M was arrested shortly after the robbery following a police operation in the sea area of Little Bay, where he attempted to evade arrest by fleeing into the water. In relation to the Island Treasures robbery, the court found that DNA evidence recovered from a vehicle used in the crime and telecommunications data linked G to the offense. According to the judgment, no reasonable explanation was provided for the presence of his DNA in the vehicle or for the movements reflected in the telephone data. G was acquitted of the allegation that he personally used a firearm during the robbery. In its judgment, the court emphasized that both robberies were carried out according to a clear and coordinated plan. The court noted that criminal responsibility is not diminished by acting solely as a driver, as the various roles within such operations are interchangeable and contribute to the commission of the offense. The court further found that the smashing of display cases during the robberies constituted violence within the meaning of the offense of theft with violence. Violent robberies have a significant impact on victims, businesses, and the wider community. The prosecutor's office remains committed to the investigation and prosecution of serious violent crime and offenses that undermine public safety.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
On Saturday afternoon, June 20th, 2026, the police force of St. Martin, KPSM, received credible information indicating that several individuals residing at a hotel in the Oyster Pond area were in unlawful possession of firearms. Acting swiftly on this intelligence, the KPSM immediately deployed a combined unit of detectives and patrol officers to the location. Upon arrival, officers conducted a control at the premises. During the operation, 3 individuals were encountered and 2 firearms were discovered and secured and confiscated. All 3 suspects were subsequently arrested and transported to the KPSM station in Phillipsburg, where they are currently being held and questioned in connection with the incident. The KPSM continues to call upon the community of St. Martin to remain vigilant and to report any information regarding the illegal possession of firearms or narcotics on the island. Community partnership and active participation in crime prevention are essential to maintaining the safety and security of all residents and visitors on both the Dutch and French sides of the island. In response to a recent increase in serious scooter and vehicle accidents, as well as firearm-related incidents on both sides of the island, the police force of St. Martin, KPSM, conducted a traffic control over the weekend of June 20th, 2026, on the AJC Brewers Road. During the control, a total of 26 vehicles were stopped and checked, along with 2 scooters motorcycles, which were inspected on both documentation and technical compliance. As a result of the control, 3 fines were issued for various infractions observed during the checks. The police force of St. Martin emphasizes that these actions are part of a broader, ongoing effort to improve road safety and reduce crime across the island. In the coming days and weeks, officers will continue to conduct preventative searches and vehicle controls in accordance with the firearms and narcotics legislation in force on St. Martin. The police force of St. Martin calls on the general public to cooperate during these operations, which are carried out in the interest of the safety and well-being of the entire community. A reporter at the press briefing on Wednesday asked a question about how an Inspector General who disqualified himself is now overseeing the total health care on St. Martin. Prime Minister Dr. Luc Mercelina, I find what you're presenting here to be very, very heavy allegations. I am on the 5th of this month. I'm the acting minister.
I find what you're presenting here very, very heavy allegations. I am, as of the 5th of this month, I'm the acting minister of VSA. So actually, if we have had before this a minister too. Unfortunately, he is not here more to actually give answer to that because at the time of the procurement and process to nominate a inspectorate, I was not involved. That is a case for the Minister of ESA at that time. I'm since the 5th of June the acting Minister of ESA. And to be very honest with you, I am not aware of these heavy allegations, and I hope you are well documented in your statements, because they are very, very heavy allegations that you're presenting here. I'm very impressed with what you're stating here, but I would look into what you're stating here. Imagine that it's not true. What for damage are we doing to a professional that comes over to contribute to healthcare of this country? You know, I am realizing more and more since I made the step from a professional as a medical doctor, surgeon to government. This world works the opposite side. We start destroying people, then we're going to check if it's true. And then we're going to judge the person, and that is the mark he will get for the rest of his life here. And he came here to actually contribute to that there should be check and balances. I think that is correct. And if that is the case, the check and balances has failed under the former Minister of ESA. But I'm not telling you that he failed. But if what you are saying is true, the check and balances has failed, if that is the case. For example, you said something that he worked by the Advance Hospital in
Dr. Najib Akir.
The new inspectorate worked there?
No, Dr. Najib Akir was a surgeon at the Advent Hospital. He abused patients. He was suspended in Holland. Those complaints were filed with the inspection, and those were ignored for several years.
But I'm very impressed that you dare to bring this like that on the floor, because these are very, very serious allegations. And I have no restrictions to look into the file, but I'm very scared to start with these heavy allegations, and perhaps maybe it's not true, and you harm the person for nothing. So we have to be very, very careful when we are actually making use of such platforms to discuss such matters. Thank you very much.
Committee of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure of Parliament, to meet in a continuation meeting to discuss the current state of national housing in St. Martin, the cemetery capacity, development planning, and related infrastructure policy. With Minister of Romy Patrice Gums, these agenda points were requested by MP Darrell York at the meeting in the Legislative Hall of Parliament on June 22nd, 2026.
The MP's first question: am I correct in understanding that Area 4 of the cul-de-sac cemetery vaults will be placed ad hoc in currently open spaces? Through you, Mr. Chairman, Area 4 has been used in the past by the hospital and other medical institutions as an area for medical waste. This method is no longer being applied. The opportunity we are seeking is to construct vaults on top of this area, similar to a vault complex seen at higher elevations in the cemetery. So not individual patches of vaults spread over this area. Is there a formal cemetery capacity forecast based on mortality trends and burial practices? And what's important to note is that a large number of these questions were actually directed in collaboration with the Ministry of VSA, especially when it comes to the policy questions. So just if there's any further clarifications, of course, you will have to then take that into consideration. At present, there is no formalized cemetery capacity forecast in place that is systematically based on mortality and burial practices. The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, VSA, is currently in the process of upgrading its mortality data systems. This enhancement will improve the accuracy, timelines, and analysis of mortality data. Once fully operational, this data will provide a stronger evidence base to support, among other things, future cemetery capacity forecasting and planning. It should also be noted that the burial practices are evolving. This consideration and potential introduction for expansion of cremation as an alternative to traditional burial may over time have an impact on land use requirements and overall cemetery capacity needs. These developments will be taken into account in the future policy and planning considerations. The following question: is the size of the space allocated for the new cemetery based on mortality trend data? The exact size of the space has not yet been determined. Additionally, as previously indicated, there is currently no available data on mortality trends. What sites have been identified or assessed for cemetery expansion on or for a new cemetery? Right now, the focus is on the Belvedere remainder for a new cemetery. Has the minister held any public consultation regarding the location of a new cemetery? The minister has not yet held public consultations regarding the location of a new cemetery. However, it is recognized that public consultation will be a necessary component of this process. Such will require coordinated engagement between the Ministry of VSA and, of course, FROMI. Public consultations will be facilitated at the appropriate stage once preliminary assessments and interministerial coordination have been completed. What is the timeline for decision-making on cemetery expansion? What milestones and specific dates should the public expect? The matter of cemetery capacity and potential expansion is recognized as an important issue, and ongoing discussions are taking place regarding the identification of potential areas for designation. However, these discussions are still at an exploratory stage and have not yet progressed to a point where concrete timelines or decisions can be communicated. Given that cemetery expansion requires a coordinated approach across spatial planning, public health, environmental considerations, and land availability, for which we have secured, further assessment and interministerial alignment are necessary before defined milestones can be established. What has been done since the minister's previous appearance in Parliament months ago regarding the matter? From the side of RUMI, analysis of the land in Belvedere has taken place. Additionally, vault capacity has been secured in the cul-de-sac cemetery. Interministerial policy discussions are ongoing, and as we stated before, the finalization of the purchase of land took place earlier this year.
For the weather forecast Tuesday morning through evening. Partly cloudy, slightly breezy, and slightly hazy. Isolated showers are likely. Surface winds tonight through Tuesday morning, east-northeast to east-southeast, with a gentle to moderate breeze at 8 to 16 in Niaram and higher gusts. State of the sea, slight to moderate waves, swells 3 to 6 feet. Outlook through Wednesday evening. Fair to partly cloudy and breezy with isolated showers, and now your 3-day forecast.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
In alignment with its steadfast mission to promote literacy, lifelong learning, and civic engagement, the St. Martin Library has once again stepped forward to support the Rotary Club of St. Martin Sunset's 2026 Community Book Drive initiative. On Thursday, June 18, 2026, the St. Martin Library contributed 4 robust boxes of used books to the Service Club. The donation features a diverse selection of literature suitable for both children and adults, including vital multilingual options. These resources are specifically destined to replenish and revitalize the 6 little free libraries strategically placed across the island under the Rotary's care. The St. Martin Library prides itself on serving as a vital community cornerstone. By providing equitable access to information and fostering an enduring culture of reading, the library actively seeks out partnerships that extend educational resources beyond its physical walls and directly into the heart of local neighborhoods. Cadastre St. Martin has introduced dedicated email contact addresses to make it easier for customers to access services, obtain information, and receive timely assistance. The new contact channels are designed to ensure that inquiries, requests, and feedback are directed to the appropriate department, allowing for more efficient handling and improved customer service. Registry services. Customers seeking assistance with registry-related matters are encouraged to contact Registry Cadastre, X, Customer Feedback and Complaints. Cadastre St. Martin remains committed to continuous improvement and welcomes customer feedback. Customers who wish to submit a complaint or share feedback regarding services received may contact Complaint Cadastre SX. This email address may be used when a customer is dissatisfied with the service received. This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.